this is Nick from Risk Games, and in this episode of Tips for First-Time Judges, we're going to conquer finding players. All right, so this is an important one that I think I have some additional insight into that might be valuable to others. So one of the things that comes up all the time on DCC Rocks and on the DCC Reddit page, additionally came up a ton when I was boothing at various conventions over the last few months. People struggle to find players. They're like, I own DCC, I'm excited about the game, but I just don't know how to find players. And then they just kind of look kind of morose and kind of sad and, hope that they get it to the table someday. And I am here to talk about how to get past that and build a community around the games that you love. So, why do I have additional insight into this? Well, in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, I worked for Games Workshop. And I worked in the retail stores, and I learned a lot about community building. So, one of the concepts that came up a lot at managerial conferences and the like, and they probably don't use today because it's an outdated term and gendered, is Little Timmy No-Mates. And Little Timmy No-Mates referred to that kid that you were introducing to the Games Workshop hobby but had no friends. And the way to get around Little Timmy No-Mates not having any friends was through all of the community building things that they would do in the stores in that era. What were those things? Well, they had painting days where you could come in and learn how to paint a model for a half an hour or an hour. They would have mega battles on Sundays so that you would be able to bring in your models that you had just painted and participate in a giant battle and in a cursory way learn the rules to Warhammer. And then once you graduated to a point where you had a small army, then they had Veterans Nights. And what does all of this miniature talk have to do with Dungeon Crawl Classics or Shadow Dark or Old School Essentials, whatever game that it is that you want to play? It's that those elements were building all of the things that allowed that child or even that adult to be surrounded by others that had interests similar to their own and be able to build friendships so that at some point they would graduate to playing at home with their friends, with their own tables and scenery and armies. And so, let's talk about applying that to Dungeon Crawl Classics or whatever RPG that you are a fan of. So, first and foremost, the inner circle. The inner circle are the people that you already know who game, and they may already be stuck into various systems or what have you. If they're not stuck in place, you'll be able to invite these people and they will want to play in your game because they just like to game. They just want to hang out with you. They just want to game. But they are not the only people. That is usually when somebody is trying to build a gaming circle. Those are the first people that they reach out to, and oftentimes they don't go any further. And I am here to tell you that you need to go further. And who do you want to ask out of your inner circle? Well, does your friend know deeply that they would definitely be chosen for House Gryffindor by the Sorting Hat? Or maybe they would be enraged if the Game of Thrones novels were not finished before George R.R. Martin dies. Or maybe they're your friend that posts May the 4th be with you memes on May 4th every year. These are the people that are embedded in nerd culture but don't necessarily game. And they very likely are gaming curious, and you've never created an opportunity to pull them in. A lot of them, as I said, because they're gaming curious, all they need is a little nudge to give it a try. These could be the gaming fanatics of the future in your circles that you just haven't tapped into. So pay attention to what your friends like. If your friends love, sci-fi, but they're not big on fantasy, They might be people that you would be able to bring in to play Mothership or Cyberpunk 2020 or Cyberpunk Red, or some other system. If they're really into Game of Thrones or into Harry Potter, maybe they're the people that you're going to bring into Dungeon Crawl Classics or what have you. Some people love all of it. And so these are the people that you want to tap into out of your inner circle. But it goes beyond that. So next we're going to talk about the outer circle. And these are the people that are the next step in going out into the world and finding your community. And how do you do that? Well, you might decide that you are going to go and check the various gaming stores and comic shops in the area around you to find out what's going on there. You know, I just ran an event at the Sanctum in Racine, and they have a strong Dungeon Crawl Classics community. Racine, Wisconsin. They have a strong Dungeon Crawl Classics community. In Mount Prospect, Illinois, at Games Plus, they have a group that plays Dungeon Crawl Classics every Monday night. And so there are lots of opportunities out there that you might not know about because maybe your favorite store isn't the store that has Dungeon Crawl Classics or Mothership or some other game being played at it. So it's important to go and look and see what is out there in the area around you. One of the other things that's really common that you might not have looked into is a lot of local libraries have gaming programs. I know that I personally ran a board gaming program at the Shorewood Library for a while when I first moved to Milwaukee because I wanted to be able to make friends, and I had an in there, and it was just a convenient opportunity. But even beyond that, you got your comic stores, you've got your gaming stores, you've got your libraries. There's also a lot of different bars and eateries, some of them even with gaming themes, that frequently have some sort of gaming programs that go on at them. Not only that, a lot of them have slow nights where if you approach them and said, hey, I want to do this thing in your bar or your eatery or whatever, that might draw a few people in, that'll spend a few bucks, this is a possible venue that you can run events. So all of those aforementioned places, if they don't already have events going on, they are perfect places that you could approach and say, hey, I would if I tried to run a DCC night at your comic store or at your library or what have you, would you help me promote it in order to draw more people in? So all of those avenues exist, and that is a perfect way to start meeting people that are interested in gaming that you might want to invite to your home in order to play in your home game. Or you might be perfectly comfortable staying at the library or at your comic shop or whatever forever. But it's really important to reach out to these places because these are places where you are going to find your tribe and find your people and find people that you enjoy gaming with. So, but those are not the only options. Now we're going to talk about the outer limits. So, as I mentioned, I just did a run of going to a bunch of different conventions all around the Midwest. And as I said, people came up to me and they would be like, I love DCC. I love the idea of DCC. I've never gotten it to the table. I've only played it at conventions because there's nobody around me that plays. And here I'm at this convention where all of these people are coming up to me and saying the same thing, and they all live in the same city. So, what did I do? Well, it just so happened that at these conventions, when I realized this was an issue, I would go around and have everybody say where they were from at the beginning of the games that I would run. And at the end, I would say, hey, just so you know, you guys are all from the same area. If you enjoyed gaming together, consider exchanging numbers. Once again, this was a circumstance where you can see from my perspective as a judge, looking at the players at the table, I could see various synergies with different players where they clearly got along. And that they would be fast friends if they decided to run an event at a store or a library or at their house where they invited each other to play together. So these are all ways that you can reach out to your immediate friends, to your outer circle at the various venues that are around you that sell games or embrace nerd culture, and also utilizing those conventions that you go to in order to find friends that you're going to be able to play with on a regular basis. I hope this is helpful. I think that really finding players is about building community. And if you look at it from those terms, and this is really important, particularly if you're moving to a new city and you need to find your tribe and feel comfortable and be able to build friendships. It's hard when you are an adult, and it only gets harder the older you get. So don't be stuck in your ways. Go out, find those people. They're out there waiting for you. All right, this is Nick from Breaker Press Games. We're going to end with some announcements. Thanks for watching. How would you like to get grimdark content sent to your mailbox every month? Become a noble patron on the Breaker Press Patreon, and you will get cool stuff like encounter pamphlets and class guides sent to your mailbox. It's $5 and above. Go check it out in the doobly-doo below. The Protectorate of Genuine is a spiritual journey for one PC and one judge, comparable to the Green Knight or Luke on Dagobah. It is available through the Breaker Press web store now, or you can encourage your FLGS to pre-order it wherever they acquire Goodman Games product.